IDOCS. IDOCS are independent domains of computation. Thinking IDOCS has pretty much a part of the scene that you can simulate independently, apart from the rest of the elements, and they can be formed by several objects or just simply fit a limited area or volume in the space that you want to simulate. But also, IDOCS may help us to simulate different versions of one single scene or element, in this case, and keep this version saved without override in its new attempt. And at this point, I'd like to introduce our community website with some really cool stuff. And one of my favorite sites, one of my favorite pages here is Jorge Medina's RealFlow blog, RealFlow Wisdom. If you have a chance, take a look at it because it's really cool. Jorge is a very talented RealFlow artist and always give us very interesting tips and tricks. And I would like to pay special attention to a couple of posts about creating different versions using IDOCS. We're going to follow this way here, and we're going to create 3 different IDOCS, one for each version. So we create them, and we're going to insert this circle emitter in each one of them. Okay, at this point, we're going to set this guy's inactive, this active, and we're going to set in Export Central that every single IDOC is going to create its own folder with its own simulation data. Okay. And at this point, we're going to send this job to the network. And now if we take a look at the web interface in the job manager, okay, we have it here, the progress of the simulation, the same machine 11, next limit 01, the machine where I'm currently logged in is currently holding the job and is simulating the task. Okay, we're going to export this circle, but not through the Export Central. We're going to export it as an XML file, actually. And we're going to export it right into the same IDOC #1 folder. We don't need anything of this, nor this one. Okay. Now I'm going to set this guy inactive and this one active. We're going to change to have it so as to have a different version, maybe something like that. And we're going to send this job to the network. Yes. And if we take a look at the web interface of the manager, here we have the 13 machine, next limit 02, has assumed this new second job. And finally, we're going to create a little hassle for the MacBook Pro with its 2 threads only. And we're going to make a new version. But before change it, I'm going to make sure that we export the node as an XML file. The reason of this is because if I want to get back to one of these versions, the XML file is going to be useful for me to set the position, rotation, coordinates of this emitter in the space. So I'm going to save it in its folder. Save. Okay. And finally, now we're going to create a Charlie different version. It's going to be the third version. Active, the rest inactive. And at this point, we're going to send it to the manager. Okay. Bring back the interface. And here we have the three machines are currently working simultaneously. And at this time, I'm using my 3 nodes to simulate 3 different versions of one single scene at the same time. And I'm going to skip to the until the simulation is done, and we'll be back with you in a moment. Okay, we have finished the 3 simulations. Definitely the time is really different depending on the number of threads, but also keep in mind that we are using, in this case, a Wi-Fi network, which is not properly wired. But anyway, let's go back to the RealFlow scene, and I'm going to save this emitter as I did in the last 2 cases. I'm going to save it as an XML file in its respective folder. Okay. And at this point, I'm going to update the timeline cache. So here we have the third simulation, the simulation that we made in the MacBook, the simulation that took an hour. And if I set this guy inactive and this one active, here we have the simulation of the next limit 02 machine in the IP13. Okay, and finally, if I set this inactive and this active, here we have the simulation, the first simulation. So now it's time to decide if I'm more happy with number 1 or number 2 or number 3. And that's why I have to save the XML emitter. For instance, if let's assume that I want to run with the number 2, I'm going to set inactive number 1 and active number 2. Okay. If I want to bring back my node, my emitter, in this case to its original position when the IDOCS number 2 was simulated, I only need to locate the XML file and just by simply drag and drop the XML file, RealFlow will ask me if I want to update or if I want to substitute, or if I want simply skip the action, I'm going to choose update, and here you have the emitter correctly placed. In the space. Same thing if I want to change to another version. I just simply drag and drop the XML file. I'm going to close the Explorer Central. And now update. Okay, here we go. In the next part, we're going to take a look at one scene, and we're going to handle a different way of using the job manager to simulate different elements at the same time.